Jason, it's great to be talking to you this morning. How are you doing?
Yo, what's up? I'm doing great. How's it going?
Fine, thank you. Now, before we get to business, I have to argue one thing. If it's Pokemon, I'm going for Haunter, Ghastly, every day of the week.
Whoa.
You've got psychic attacks, you got ghost attacks, and I love hypnotizing people and hitting them with the shadow ball. Why Mudkip?
Mudkip, dude. Mudkip, he's just like an adorable little fella, dude. Is he a dog? Is he a fish? Like, I don't know, dude. You're crazy. I mean, if both were on Survivor, I do think that Ghastly and Haunter bring more to the table than a Mudkip, and maybe you would last longer with your Haunter than I would with mine.
Now, Jason, was there any thought last night about using your shot in the dark?
It's so funny because it's like if I could just switch my Jason brain between the past two episodes, I think that that would have been a better time to make that argument, right? That like I was very shot in the dark heavy on the first episode, and by the time it reached the second one, I think that like all of Uli were clued in on how do we pacify this guy that seems so trigger happy on it. And I think that that was the journey that I felt that I was kind of talked off that cliff and sort of talked into the frying pan. You know what I mean? So I think that by that time, truly, and I would love to say that I was a better player than this, but I'm not. I think that all of Uli did their parts to convince me that, like, hey, you're good tonight. Like, this is our plan. We're all gonna vote out Rizzo. And clearly, it wasn't even that much of a thought because this didn't even make the edit that bad. So, like, I think that it is a consideration that a smarter Jason would do, one that hadn't been worn down by all of the Uli members talking in his ear.
Well, then again, I mean, you got to see everything that was going on behind the scenes, and so you that other Jason would have more information to base that decision on, right? But
Dude, Sean, just not to interrupt you right now, but I was thinking about this earlier because I agree so much that the confessional is such a powerful tool. Do you think that that would be a really cool advantage to be able to drop in and listen to someone's confessional? Because that would have helped me.
it would change the game for sure. Um, Now, looking back at things, I'm not a big fan of the three tribes because I think that you end up with a lot of seasons where a tribe gets, Yulonged, they're decimated, and
Gotcha.
then again, it puts other people at a disadvantage who are on tribes who are doing well. I'm going to put you in the producer's hat for a minute.
Yeah.
If one tribe was decimated like that, how would you handle it now that you have become a victim of a tribal swap?
I don't know. Like, so I think that one, I always love schoolyard pick because I think that there's so much drama in who you pick for the schoolyard, right? I think that schoolyard picks potentially could also end up with like a very lopsided composition, right? So I don't think that that necessarily solves it. I will say as someone who was a victim of a swap screw, I can step out of my position and say, hey, it's a tough spot, but wouldn't it be like if we don't put people in tough spots, we won't have episodes where people overcome those odds.
Right.
So you put a Tony on in my spot, you put a Sandra in my spot, maybe they are able to answer the call of the question, and then we have a really awesome episode. I think that the way that it's done randomly, I think is a fair way to do it. I think that even though it puts a lot of unfair situations, Survivor's about being unfair, and the people that can overcome that, those are the people that stay. I was in that hot seat. I couldn't do it. Other people, I feel like could.
Now, obviously, we know that you were an alternate. You were not meant to be on this season. How much time did you have to prepare to get into the game?
Dude, if I told you that you were on Survivor right now, you would have more time than I did, right? Like you would have the full day to think about it. Like I was told, "Hey, like you're on the show. Good night. We'll see you in the morning." I'm like, "Whoa." Like it's cutting into my sleep. I'm making sure that I'm not sleeping. I'm like by candlelight like trying to like write in my notes what I want to do. It's like I think it was like literally like Jeff said like 12 hours, right? And 12 hours of like 8 of which you should be sleeping, right? Or prepping and all that other stuff. So very, very little time.
Now, I've spoken to people who are alternates before, like Austin, And he said to me, John, one thing, it was very hard to come into the game of that. But the other thing is that I had different than any of the other players is I felt like I was playing like how with house money. I could make bigger moves. I could take more risk because I'm not supposed to be there to begin with. Is that how you felt?
I felt really similar. I think that the difference is that like, well, I have like I'm playing with house money, right? In the sense that I'm here, but I'm also put in a situation where like, if you're on the bottom like of a tribe with like on the wrong side of the numbers, it's like there actually is I think there's just very little room to maneuver. I wanted to go on the journey. Dude, oh my God, I'm like thinking about it right now. I was so close to finding the idol. If Jawan didn't rig the rocks, then maybe I'm like trying, dude. If I went to the journey like Austin did and like wanted to backstab people for a sandwich, like I was trying, but I think that the Ulis were very like on to me and they wanted to make sure that I was like quarantined off as much as possible. And like, it's hard when it's hard.
Now, you got to see at least what you saw out there about the Uli Alliance. They're very tough to break through, very tough to share because, hey, they're sticking together. Based on your observations, who do you think is leading that tribe?
I mean, based on my observations on the island, it
Yeah,
was very tough. The only thing that I could tell was that Jawan seemingly was like at least socially like on the outs. I don't want to say like on the outs, right? Everyone's talking to each other, but I would say that there are more instances of Rizzo talking to Savannah, Nate talking to Savannah. I think that, and especially with Savannah coming to me with all the strategic information, I felt like Savannah was very well insulated inside of her tribe.
right.
After watching the edit, I think that like there is a lot of implication that Savannah has very strong opinions about everything that's going on around her. And Jawan, even though he is seemingly on the bottom, doesn't realize it, right? He's loyal to Uli enough to rig the rock draw so that I don't draw something. So I don't know. It's like it's interesting and it's very tough to know what the power structure is when like Uli hasn't voted either, right? The
Right,
first time they're voting is with us, so they're figuring out their alliances in real time. Because before Matt's vote, before the swap, it was all talk,
right.
right? We'll see what happens.
Now, again, I'm going to flip it on Hina. You saw more than we have because, again, they can't capture everything. Who's running Hina?
So and again, I'll preface it by saying like if you haven't voted, it's all talk. But let me
Right.
tell you about the talk, all right? So the show showed part of the picture that there was this four alliance of Matt, Christina, and Steven, and they pulled an MC as a fourth.
Right,
There was another unshown group of four, which was me, Steven, and MC, with Sophie pulled in as a fourth,
right.
right? So that's something that the show doesn't show in the edit. And me and Sophie knew all about the Christina Matt side of the alliance. I don't think that they knew about us. So MC and Steven are telling us all of their dirty laundry, and they're not telling them any of our dirty laundry. That to me makes me think that we're in a better spot. Still puts Steven and MC in the middle. So I think that that's how I would describe Hina. And if we had gone to tribal, I think that it would have been up to them to make that choice as to who goes home. Luckily, me and MC are both alternates, so I feel like I would not catch the first stray just out of that empathy and the fact that we got along really well. But you never know, right? Talk is talk.
Right. Now, I asked this of all the survivors I've talked to because, again, we only get to see a really small portion of your journey. Is there anything in your edit, whether it was like a personal moment with somebody, a strategic move, is there anything that you wish fans would have been able to see about your story in particular?
I think that like it's funny because it's like my story in particular. I want to like fold in MC because it's like we have like this once like I always say it once in a lifetime and then I correct it. It's like twice in a lifetime because it literally happened to two people.
Yeah.
Experience that of course is like so important to me and like she's living the exact same thing. I feel like that connection that we have bonded us on Hina that I think that that's why like and I think that this is maybe the moment to show is after MC shows Steven the idol, she also shows me her hidden immunity idol. And there's this moment that she says, Jason, like, we deserve to be here, like as much as anybody else. Like even though we're the alternates, it's like we are just as valuable as anybody else, and like we are here to play Survivor. And I think that that moment to me is such a encapsulation of what being put in that spot makes you think, right? There's like so many like inadequacies that you think of yourself as the alternate, as the person who was so close to making it on the show but didn't.
Right.
You get the chance to do that, and to get the chance to do that with somebody that also went through the exact same thing, and to have a moment where it's like we are like confiding in each other about that exact feeling, like it was like very powerful to feel. And I'm a little like I guess I wish that MC had her moments to kind of feel the same feelings that I did. I know I understand that the edit, like, you can't be duplicative, but I feel like that feeling is as important as it was to her as it was to me. And I think that that's what bonded us. And I wish that they showed a little more.
Well, thanks very much for taking the time to speak to us today. Maybe you'll be like Team Rocket and you're not gone for good and you'll be back. Maybe your survivor story is just yet, Jason.
They
But
can't get rid of me.
but all the best to you, and it was wonderful watching you.
Dude, it was awesome to be there. And it's good talking.